Oh.
All right, thanks, Protest the Hero. It's Leafs Talk, JD Bunkis, Sam McKee, at JD Bunkis, at Sam McKee on Twitter and Instagram. Boy, that was as eye glazing as it gets tonight, buddy. Thanks to Austin Matthews for ripping that game-winning goal. But holy, we might set the record tonight for shortest Leafs Talk. My notes from this game are Sahara level dry.
I have first a thing to say off the top that I really thank my lucky stars every day that this is my job. I don't ever take it for granted. I am truly amazed at the platform that I have been given over these past few years. Like, I am not a broadcaster, just a dumb guy that they put on here. But tonight, I take it all back. I wish I wasn't doing this. That was horrible.
You wish you were back delivering.
Yeah, buddy, I wish it was that Domino slinging grease wheels. That was horrible. That was a horrible hockey game. Start to finish, no good. I guess the finish was good, but the rest, no good.
Can I just say, this one I'm chalking up straight up to, this is the flu game. Just
gotta be.
This is the flu. You guys have the flu. It was funny, too, because on my show this morning, I was saying how I was really excited for this game because Matthews and Dahlin really hate each other. Mm-hmm. The Sabres always suck in perpetuity, but they really get up for the Leafs game, and the Leafs seem to get up for them with like that edge. They are heading into the deadline. They've got this incredibly important second half of a back-to-back. I was going to ask you, like, do you think that one was more flu, or do you think that maybe the Leafs are looking ahead a little bit to Boston tomorrow night?
I think there's definitely some of both. I think they were looking ahead. I think the Sabres, was it Simmer that mentioned it, that they looked a little lifeless, like one of their buddies just got traded and they don't know the direction of the team and they know they suck and the season's kind of coming to an end here. But they just really didn't have their usual Sabres against the Leafs FU that they've had in the last. I think they've won 6 of their last 8 against the Leafs coming into this game and 3 in a row. And they have this love to play the Leafs mentality, and it didn't feel like they had that tonight. I thought the Leafs, Matthews, until he scored that winner, I can't remember him looking that lifeless. Like, I don't know if he really doesn't care about this game. And like you said, he's looking ahead, but just had no pop to his game, no power, no skating, no like that usual picking pockets and ripping pucks. It just no energy. So maybe he's sick. Maybe he doesn't care about the Sabres. But yeah, I think it's probably a little looking ahead to answer your question. But I also do think these guys are a little bit sick, I have to say.
I was trying to see turnovers for Matthews tonight because he was pretty uncharacteristic with the puck too. He was just sort of giving them away. There was some pizzas for Matthews tonight, just like you back in the day before this.
Slinging the Zaz, baby.
The grease wheels, as you call them. He was slinging them around tonight. Yeah, I don't really know too much to say about this one. Like, I thought the Leafs played solid defensively, but I also couldn't tell if that was just Buffalo's ineptitude as well and their willingness to basically play a hockey game that was low event, low energy. I got to tell you this, though. The story of the game to me, in terms of a positive, it's Ilya Samsonov. He was really good again in this game. And I'll tell you this. The Leafs had good stretches where they just didn't allow pucks on them. I think that Buffalo didn't get their first shot in the first period until like the 5-minute mark, but then they just pour it on them to close the period, right? I think they got 10 shots in the final 5 minutes of the first. And then the third period was similar too, where he's not really engaged in the play. He's not feeling the puck at all. And then he's forced to come up with just like a massive kick save that I still haven't really seen at the very end of it. Anyway, I think that's one of the actual more difficult things to do for a goaltender is to play a game like that where it's just waves. Hey, all of a sudden the puck's coming at you and there's scrambly plays and it's a tight hockey game. If you let one in, you lose, right? They didn't have a lead in this game. They weren't playing from ahead. And it was just he was pretty calm again in the net tonight, made some crucial saves, made a bunch that were not, like, I would say out of the 24 saves he made, maybe 3 or 4 were actually really good. But either way, like a really quality game for him again.
So for me, it's the clutch save factor. And like, I'm not to draw everything towards playoffs or whatever. And, you know, it's just what you think about at this time of year. But oftentimes in a playoff game, that's what it comes down to, is a clutch save where maybe you've already let in a couple. It's a tight game. At the end of a game where you haven't seen a lot of action for a while, Leafs are carrying it, a 2-on-1 comes down the other way, and you need a clutch save. And to me, he made 2 massive clutch saves tonight. The one right at the end of the third period where it's a great redirect, and he stretches out right to the edge, gets the toe on it. And then the one in overtime, stares down Tage Thompson, coming right down the middle of the ice, no back pressure, free shot right between the hash marks, and he stares him down, does a big glove save, does the windmill. Loved it. He looked confident tonight. Been really impressed with him in his last 2 games. And I think, you know, you have Wall going in on tomorrow night. But for me, if I don't know what they do, but if I was the coach, Sammy has earned the net on Saturday night, regardless of what happens tomorrow night in Boston. I think Sammy's been the better goalie this week, and I go back to him on Saturday night for the Hockey Night in Canada start. I think it's just, if you're truly doing this, and I know your take, which I think is probably right, that they want one guy to win the battle. I think they really want Wall to win the battle. But if you're going on merit, Sammy deserves 3 of the 4 starts this week, in my opinion.
Again, here's this is another weirdness with the schedule, but this is why I brought it up when they were heading into these games. But okay, so if you play Samsonov on Saturday, right? Yeah. Which you kind of have to. Right now, it looks like you kind of have to, right? You play him on Saturday. That means Wool is going to go over a week without playing a hockey game. But if you don't play Samsonov Saturday, that means that he'd go over, like he'd be adding even that extra day. Because the Leafs have played this condensed schedule, and then next week they don't play a hockey game until Thursday against the Flyers. It's just, it's very, very strange, and it's kind of, tough timing as they're trying to get both of these goaltenders going. Here's what I would say. This is exactly what you want. And ultimately, like, I know people are kind of hoping, oh, maybe Wool just runs away with it, or Samsonov falls apart, or he's just a solid backup and you get some clarity in the crease. Ideally, this is what you get. Ideally, you have it where it feels like a tough decision every night.
100%.
The problem is that, of course, the problem is that Samsonov is not a normal guy. We're always just terrified about him. Like, if he doesn't get exactly what he wants and what he needs, that he might fall apart mentally. And so for him to stay in the fight here, for him to actually play this way as he's fighting for the net
100%.
is huge for him.
Yeah,
it's huge for this hockey team. I don't care if you love Joe Woll, you think he's the greatest goaltender to ever walk the face of the earth. I don't care if you really believe Samsonov is the higher end guy. The idea that you could get into a playoff series this year and end up needing to use both, just like Boston last year, who played Florida and ended up using both their goaltenders and had the Vezina winner. Like, duh, you want both these guys going. So ultimately, I hope it continues this way, and that, like I said, that Samsonov can stay in the fight, because to me, this is so far the perfect situation for the Leafs. Great stuff.
Yep, totally agree. Nothing else to add on that. We were quickly doing a pre-show chat, and it's just something with Matthews scoring his 54th in overtime tonight. I not just about Matthews, but all the guys in this era, all the good goal scorers, like including Ovi. I don't know how many goals Ovi scored 3-on-3, but like, it offends me that those count towards Gretzky's record.
And that they also count as game-winning goals.
Did Gretzky ever play a 4-on-4 overtime? Would they have gone to 4-on-4 while he was still in the league? I don't think so, right? Like, he's only ever played 5-on-5 overtime into ties. To me, I guess you can't say they don't, like, it's 3-on-3 and then it's like the shootout where you go to 3-on-3 and those goals don't count towards your total, but they just count as like a winner, like a shootout winner would, and you'd have like the separate 3-on-3 stats. But to me, that Ovechkin's going to get a chance to pass the greatest player of all time because he's playing in 3-on-3. Matthews tonight, how many 3-on-3 goals does Matthews have? I feel like he's scored a lot of 3-on-3 goals.
Yeah, I just don't think, if you can find that, that'd be good.
3-on-3 goals are not goals. 3-on-3 is not hockey. It is a separate event from the hockey game. And it offends me that these guys are all going to have these numbers statted, watching them play. Like, everyone's effort tonight in overtime. Willie, awful in overtime. Matthews fumbled the puck multiple times. I thought Riley was good in overtime, but outside of that, it's just not hockey. And I like 3-on-3. I'm down for it. I enjoy watching in the regular season, but I don't think these goals should count towards an all-time goal record. I really don't.
So I got to tell you something. It's tough because you say that it can't count towards the all-time goal record, but the other guys did have overtime. And so now you're saying that those guys wouldn't have overtime. Like I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
That's a great point that I should have brought up. You're right. It's unfixable because they had overtime. You just have to go back to 5-on-5 for it to be legit.
So what I just think it's tough because back in the day, an overtime goal would have been the most or one of the more impressive things that you could do. Like scoring in overtime is clutch. And now it doesn't feel that way. And it does feel gimmicky. I'm guessing that this isn't going to go over well in the chat. Like Joe and Mike, you can tell me like how the chat's feeling about this right now, this take, because I hate being the agree boys here, but listen, I love that Matthew scored this goal. It's exciting. 3-on-3 is an awesome product, but I agree with you in the sense of it feels a little unfair to me, especially that it counts as game-winning goals. Like the total goals, I don't think that you get enough of over your career. But when you do like the ultimate clutch stats and you have guys, I got to see how much of a sample it actually matters. And maybe tonight it was just like the Leafs were dogs and Matthews was terrible. It didn't feel like, oh, this should be the narrative. Like, boy, big game-winning goal, 2 points. Okay, so he has 12 overtime goals.
This year or in his career?
No. Not this year. Career.
I mean, he has 7 hat tricks. I don't know. That's 11 in his career.
It's got to be career.
Yeah. Obviously, it's his career. I'm an idiot. Sorry, boys. Sorry, everyone listening. Yeah.
So career. But also
that's low to me. That feels low.
So I mean, it's a little low, but it's not low for game-winning goals, right? Game-winning goals, 11 is high. Goals overall, 11 is kind of low. Either way, it does feel a little gimmicky to me. I feel you. I felt the exact same way. I went, could you imagine Gretzky with the goaltenders with the pads?
Oh my God, 3-on-3. Him, Mess, and Yari Curry snapping it around. He would have scored. He would have had an extra 100 goals.
That's the counter. That's the counter, though, is if I was Matthews, he'd be like, yeah, I also get to play guys that aren't wearing Road Warrior equipment and slide out of the net every time someone takes a pump fake.
Fake clapper from the hash marks doesn't work anymore.
Bro, I've said there are two athletes that suffer the most from, like, the two greatest athletes in my opinion that suffer the most from YouTube highlights: Bill Russell and Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. Remember during COVID when they were putting on like those old series? And I remember they put on like a Oilers versus the Flyers series. And I was like, scrub this, boys. Scrub this. Like, scrub this from. I'm like, McDavid would legitimately break. He would have 350 points every year in this. Like, it's crazy. Anyways, we don't need to do young guy versus old guy talk. That's what everyone loves to hear. But anyways.
Yeah. Chad is mostly saying a goal is a goal. Hey, chat. I thought you'd have a nuanced thought like this. I thought you guys would really take that thought in and process it and stew on it before just instantly reacting.
Goal's a goal.
I have only really one other note on this game, and that's
I have a couple of quick ones.
The goal that the Leafs score in regulation. Again, I don't want to heap too much praise on the Leafs for this game because it was just a tough watch in general. But those guys met with the coaching staff as a line. They met with Sheldon Keefe, not the rest of the team, and they hammered home essentially that they've got to be able to play with the puck better. You can go listen to the interview I did with Luke Fox today on my podcast, JD Bunkis podcast. And Luke broke it down to me that they basically had completely lost the trust of the coaching staff when it came to the defensive zone play, the 200-foot play, and they told them to shorten up the shifts so that they stopped getting gassed out there and to make sure that there was a little bit more attention to detail. But to me, it's like, this is why you keep that line together for a little bit longer, is that they can create some magic. And how do they score the goal? It's a boom, boom, tic-tac-toe where all three of the forwards are involved. They all make skill plays, and Nylander gets into the high slot and he buries one.
It's a great pass by, great keep of the line there by Lyubushkin too, but great pass by Domi here. It wasn't Domi. It was Bertuzzi. Who was it that passed it to him? I thought it was Domi that passed it to him. Was it Bertuzzi?
Domi over to Bertuzzi and then Bertuzzi
back behind the net. Yeah. So here's the thing to me with this line. I thought, give him credit, I thought Willie during regulation was far and away the best skater for the Leafs. Seemed engaged. He was skating hard. He was digging pucks. He was good on the penalty kill, I thought, tonight, where he really was working hard and he won a couple battles. He's flying around out there. And then overtime started and he was just himself in overtime. He 3-on-3 is legitimately the worst thing possible for Nylander. Just brings up the worst in him by far. But you're right. The threat of this is why you deal with the other side of it. The threat of this and being able to keep McMahon, Tavares, like they asked him, Keith, about this at practice yesterday. And he's like, well, it's about those guys offensively, but it's also about being able to keep together Yarncroc, Tavares, and Bobby McMahon. They like that look. They like being able to have him down the lineup a little bit. So yeah. And you saw what they could do, and give him credit for having that conversation and coming out and having a good defensive effort, a good game. And Willie shoots one in the net. A little more fired up than normal. I was surprised by that. Maybe he was avenging the fact that the Sabres traded his beloved brother all those years ago. I don't know what it was, but he seemed pretty fired up about that goal. So
I think it's that they were in the media eyes. Like they were the attention right now. Sure. It's like that line was getting killed. Like they were that's the story before the game was, are these guys going to be able to tighten up their play, stick together and head into the deadline? Here's what I can promise you, brother. That guy wants to play with Max Domi more than he wants to play with some 10-goal 3C that they end up trading for at the deadline, right? Or
you'd rather play with him than Adam Henrique. The puck's going to land on his stick a lot more in the slot with Max Domi on his line.
Correct. And so I think that there's some incentive for him to try and continue to make this work, even though the contract is done, the just enjoying goals incentive. By the way, Ovi, only 11 3-on-3 overtime goals. Matthews has as many as Ovi. Matthews, the merchant, the 3-on-3 merchant. Like that's
15 4-on-4. So it's hurting my argument. It's not that many.
That's a good chunk of goals. That's like, if you think about Ovi breaking the goal scoring record, he's not going to break it by more than that.
No, he needs 26 tucks to get there. That's for sure.
Like, that's what I'm saying. You take those out of the mix, or like let's say you have that. Like,
no, you're right. Anyways, my point is better. Thank you. Good point by me.
The Ovi haters would like to asterisk this big time.
The Ovi hate club.
Yeah, I know. Dude, I'm a sicko. Like, I'm rooting so hard for Gretzky to keep the record that I'll see the Capitals with a bunch of goals, and I just immediately go to the app and I check to see.
I hate to say I do the same thing. I do the exact same thing every time. But they usually lose and they score like 2, so thankfully. But they had good Sandin contract today, Caps. That was a good one.
Yeah, though, Mantha was actually, again, I know their team because I always check the box to see him always go. Mantha, him leaving the power play, he was actually he's in a career year. So he was ripping shots, like he was was looking Ovi off, taking shots. Ovi's back now that Mantha's gone. Ovi's gonna go on
It's actually Ovi that made the trade. He's like, you got to get that guy out of here. He's taking my looks.
Get Mantha gone tomorrow. Like he wanted him out. Anyway,
I have one last thing.
Yep,
what's yours? I was just gonna say that liked Lyubushkin a lot again tonight.
Buddy,
3 straight nights where I liked him. So impressed.
Whatever. This is Leafs After Dark, and we're having fun here. The nerds are going to put me in an early grave with the Liljegren over, like where people go, Lyubushkin, he's a 70, he's a 70. It just, he kills plays. He makes simple plays, and he is willing to take a hit, and he can also deliver one. Mighty Boosh took another massive hit tonight. He gets clean
contact. A lot of contact with him.
He's a violent player.
Yeah.
Liljegren was 2 penalties again tonight.
I know.
And the stats are always going to value the stuff that Liljegren does better than Lyubushkin more, and so the numbers are always going to look better than him. Enjoy the press box, Timothy Liljegren, because whoever they're bringing in here over the next couple of days, Frank Saravelli was on my show today. He said that it's -600 would be the betting odds that the Leafs had another defenseman before the deadline. Yeah, they're replacing Timothy Liljegren. Like, this is becoming extremely apparent that he is the guy that is coming out of the lineup. His confidence, and I thought you saw it again when he was sitting in the penalty box after the second one. Like,
he knows
it's shot. He knows he's out.
I think it'll be any one of Dumba or Edmondson or Nick Jensen or whoever the hell it is that they bring in.
Mhm.
It's directly to take away those minutes. It really feels like it.
And boy, is there will be an outpouring of tears from certain factions of Leafs Twitter when this happens.
Charts will be drenched in tears.
Oh my God. It's like they
I just don't get, like, I've watched mistake-prone guys over my Leaf fandom. Like, look at what Jake Gardiner did over those years. Look at what Dion Phaneuf did over those years. Look at what Jake McCabe gives you now. But here's the thing. There's the threat of the other side of it, where a guy might lay one out or score a goal or make a sick breakout pass or do something. It's just blah and then big mistake. That's not my preferred style of defense.
As the kids say, it's just everything mid, like it's everything mid. All right. Anything else, or you want to wrap this up?
Just congrats to the Leafs for getting 2 points when fully looking past the team. That's a new one for them. They haven't been able to do that in a while. So congrats to the Leafs for that, getting 2 points, nothing more than that. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. I think tomorrow night is potentially good.
I do think Buffalo is just, they're done. They're already in Cabo. They're done.
Zone.
Like they're all thinking, my boy Cousins is thinking about all the fishing he's going to be getting done this summer.
Did he play tonight?
I don't, what Sabre popped for you tonight?
The guy that shot in the net, Olofsson.
I actually thought Owen Power, where I was just like, he has a presence to him. Like when he has the puck,
breathtaking player. Yeah.
What?
Breathtaking skater, size. Yeah. Like he's going to be a stud.
Yeah. But outside of that, it was like
nothing.
And then the Olofsson shot, which was beautiful, which again, I saw some people criticizing Samsonov for. It's like, you can get beat clean. The shot was disgusting. It's a nasty release that goes bar down opposite. It was just it handcuffs him because the release, but yeah, nasty goal. All right.
And one last, just Darlene, you sure 8-year, $88 million contract you just signed?
No, he's a stud.
Okay.
No, he is a, like, if I was
$11 million stud.
Oh yeah. Like no question. Like, yeah, one of the best defensemen in the NHL, like without a shadow of a doubt for me. That's a sleepy, awful team in an awful part of the season. I'm not judging him on that one on a whole. Okay, let's wrap this up. Subscribe to the podcast, leave 5 stars, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and reach out anytime at JD Bunkis, at Sammy McKee. And we'll see you tomorrow night for the Bruins game.